Assalamu alaikum everyone, this is Saida and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, then please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon. Today I am going to provide an easiest explanation of the poem Among School Children by W.B Yeats. And if you want simple and easy notes on any topic, then you can visit my blog englishwithsaida.blogspot.com. Now without wasting our further time, let's get started. First of all, I will explain the first four stanzas of this poem from stanza 1 to stanza 4. William Butler Yeats visited this school in 1926 when he was a 60-year-old man. He was constantly reminded of his lover, youth and age. We see a reflection between two phases and the gradual change. Youth represents a beautiful round face, innocence, young days full of joy, whereas age represents a scarecrow, dullness, a tattered cot upon a stick. He is constantly reminded of his own and his beloved Morgon's childhood memories, and he alludes to many mythical figures like the myth of Leda being visited by Zeus in the form of swan. The tension between conflicting realities of youth and age is the subject central to this poem. The poet continuously moves back and forth to his past when he was a beautiful child and to his present when he is an old man like a scarecrow. In the third stanza, we see that he remembers his beloved Morgon as a young beautiful child and now at present as a hollow-cheeked woman. This is Renaissance way of painting in which hollow cheeks are painted to show no meat and no roundness of cheeks. It is not a good recollection how life changes from a beautiful beginning to the decaying image of an old man, of a scarecrow, of a tattered cot upon a stick. Then by saying, "And better to smile on all that smile," he mocks at himself, calling himself a scarecrow. And he still enjoys being around him. Now let's move towards stanza 5, where the poet says, "What youthful mother, a shape upon her lap, honey of generation had betrayed, and that must sleep, shriek, struggle to escape, as recollection or the drug decide, would think her son, did she but see that shape, with 60 or more winters on its head, a compensation for the pang of his birth, or the uncertainty of his setting forth." Here honey is a kind of drug, like when you drink it, you forget your past. The poet alludes to the myth of a cave of nymphs in Odyssey. Odysseus was offered honey, and as soon as he drank honey, he forgot his past life. Here Yeats says, Yeats and mother believed in the philosophy of Plato, that we had lived before this and that was our actual existence. When a child drinks mother's milk, it is like honey to him because it erases the parental memories. In the very first line, shape is the baby of that mother. Honey of generations means it can be honey in actual sense or it can be milk. The struggles and efforts these babies perform is also symbolic escape. These babies have this choice either to save their pre-existence memory or they could prefer to drink milk. The baby prefers to drink milk and forgets about his past memory. Then poet talks about mother's labor, that she can see her baby in her lap and thinks how this baby would be turned into an old aged man after 60 years. She thinks in her mind whether all her struggles in giving birth to her baby and raising him all these years is worth doing or not. One thing we can notice is the use of the word winter instead of spring. It directly points to the sadness of poet as he cannot free himself of the disappointment of his old age. Next comes stanza number 6. Plato thought nature but a spume dead place upon a ghostly paradigm of things. Soldier Aristotle played the toss upon the bottom of a king of kings. World famous golden thighed Pythagoras fingered upon a fiddlestick or strings. What a star sang and careless muses heard, old cloths upon old sticks to scare a bird. In this stanza, Yeats alludes to many philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, and Pythagoras. Plato was a student of Socrates, and Socrates killed himself by drinking poison. Plato was disillusioned how a great philosopher had to die like this due to some politics. Aristotle was a student of Plato and also the teacher of Alexander the Great. Spumes means the bubbles that are formed over water. These are insignificant things that are seen but are not actually there. Similarly, the things we see around us are actually the shadows. And he talks about the theory of imitation by Plato. Then he talks about Pythagoras, who had one thigh made of gold. This is a myth, not a historical reference. He thought that all the stars run in the sphere and this music is heard only by gods and goddesses. The poet talks about these three philosophers and their philosophies and says that although they are good philosophers, but their philosophies could not reconcile the images of this old age. He is of the view that what is their purpose if they could not find a remedy to turn an aged man into his young stage? He is deeply disappointed and has deep remorse of his old age, so he finds all of them as useless people. Next comes the seventh stanza. Both nuns and mothers worship images, but those the candles light are not as those that animate a mother's reveries, but keep a marble or a bronze repose. And yet they do break hearts or presences that passion, piety, or affection knows, and that all heavenly glories symbolize, O self-born mockers of men's enterprise. In this stanza, he returns back to nuns and mothers because he is present at a school where there are nuns. The candlelights are lighted by these nuns. He compares nuns and mothers, saying that a mother worships the living thing and a nun worships non-living objects. The nuns worship the statues of bronze and marble, means the statues of Mary and Jesus, whereas a mother worships her own child and her whole world revolves around him. Yet both the nun and the mother break hearts. A mother spoils her child in her love, and a nun spoils in her worship. Nun here is actually used for modgon. Passion is used for worship, piety for morally sound, and affection for love. He says that even with all these qualities, it cannot solve any problem that the poet is facing. He is mocking again, saying that no matter how pious a mother and nun can be, they cannot bring any significant change to his old age. Men's enterprise means all labor of man's life. Whatever effort man does, the end is just a scarecrow, a tattered gown upon a stick. Next comes my favorite and the last stanza of this poem. Labor is blossoming or dancing where the body is not bruised to player's soul, nor beauty born out of its own despair, nor blear-eyed wisdom out of midnight oil. O chestnut tree, great rooted blossomer, are you the leaf, the blossom, or the ball? O body sway to music, O brightening glance, how can we know the dancer from the dance? Labor means whole attempts and efforts a person can do. Previously, the poet had remorse, but in this last stanza, he somehow finds a resolution. Here he talks about the labor that is creative labor, where the body is not bruised to prepare the soul. You don't really feed your soul to hurt your body. When physicality goes into harmony and oneness with soul, then there is blossoming. If we concentrate only on our soul and forget about our body, making it a scarecrow, then it is a mockery. If we take them together side by side in a proper harmony, then we would see blossoming. Chestnut tree is a very important symbol here as it was present in that school. He looks at this tree and it provides a metaphor for him. All the parts of a tree like roots, trunk, branches, flowers, etc. are important. We cannot say only flowers are important because if there are no roots, then there will be no tree or flowers. If we see all the parts separately, then there is nothing important about them. But if they unite together, then the tree is important as a whole. The poet realizes how life with all its labor, intellect, human body, animal self and the soul combines to become one perfect whole like a chestnut tree. This is where immortality or perfection is attained, that is, the dancer and the dance becomes one. The dance is spiritual harmony and the dancer is physical self or body. When they unite and become one, it leads to immortality. blossoming and dancing is the perfect moment and harmony that the poet wants to achieve. This is the kind of harmony present in universal music in the movement of stars, which is only heavenly glory. Man has to look upon his life as a whole, not just a body, not just a soul, not just intellect, but as a beautiful whole when they combine together. They must combine into one dance, then the dance and the dancer becomes one. This is the perfection that is desirable to be achieved when there is no aging, when there is no decay, remorse or bitterness. This is the oneness poet has been looking throughout the whole poem, and he finally resolves it in the image of a chestnut tree. This is a metaphor for the whole of human existence.